Hello, good morning, everybody. It's your happy, healthy Dr. Alisha, of course, coming to you live from New York City. We're going to have a very special guest today. Give me just a moment to get set up here, and then we're going to get started. Here we go. Yay! Okay, so we are waiting for Miss Lynette Medley. Yay! Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm well. I can't complain.
Good. I love your glasses and all of
Thank
the
you.
beautiful kind of positive Mickey Mouse ears, the Minnie Mouse ears that you guys wear to do your deliveries. It's so cute and positive, and how you just, bring so much color and energy. I love that so much.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
so I was just introducing you to my audience. We're super happy to have you as a guest today. So it's nice to meet you in person. Um, so everyone, this is the amazing Miss Lynette Medley. She is the founder of No More Secrets, Mind, Body, and Spirit, which is a nonprofit organization that really works to try to bring sexuality awareness to young people and really help them with that transition as they're coming of age, which we've all experienced, and we know it was super awkward and super
Yes.
helpful to have adults around you that can really guide you in the right direction and give you, correct information about how your body works. She is also the founder of hashtag Black Girls Bleed, which is the title of our topic today, which she's going to tell you all about, which is a movement that's really around erasing stigma around menstruation, particularly in young girls of color. It's also about period poverty and period equity. So we're going to talk about that today, which of course falls under the umbrella of reproductive justice. Um,
Yes.
so yes, Lynette, thank you so much. We have so much to talk about today.
Yes, we do.
Good morning to the fibroid pandemic. Also, everyone, please, if you have questions for Lynette, because she's been doing this work for many, many years, please do post your questions in the comment, and we will definitely try to get to them before the end of the broadcast.
Yay. I got to say hi to
Okay.
Katie. Hey, Katie. Thanks for joining.
Oh,
I had to
hello,
say that.
Katie. All right, awesome. So, Lynette, yes, let's get started because this is such an important topic. I know
Yes.
this is something that's very much has been a calling for you. It's more than just like work that
Yes.
you do. And in many cases, you do this uncompensated because of the strong kind of desire and push that you feel to give back to the community. Can you explain to us a little bit about how you got into this and what were some of the things that you were noticing among the young people that you were working with that really kind of drew you into this work?
Okay, so as you said, No More Secrets is a sexuality awareness organization. And I like to preface that because we're not a menstrual organization or a period movement. We came into this space because we were referred, a lot of young people who were, as they say, acting out sexually or making
Mm-hmm.
unhealthy relationship or choices in their community around their body. So we were doing, classes on bodily autonomy, the rape culture and all of that. So a
Mm-hmm.
young person, I call her Holly, that's my, a person who I use. And she basically told me that, I hope this is a safe space. I'm going to tell y'all the truth. She told me that she would suck a dick. I had to say it like that to get a pad or tampon. And I was just
Yeah.
flabbergasted. And I was just like, what? And then she just told me she would sell her body. She would steal. She would use birth control pills nonstop. She would use pads and tampons for multiple days. And I just was just like, this is not happening in the United States. And, this was
Right.
5 years ago. So this was like 2015. And so I tried to get her resources. And unbeknownst to myself, now let me tell you, I didn't come from all privilege. Like I knew about homelessness and those type of situations, but this young lady was living at home with her mom, and just living in poverty. And there weren't
Yeah.
resources like public
Right.
assistance didn't cover it. In the city of Philadelphia and tri-state area, there wasn't a feminine hygiene bank. So they basically would struggle, her and her siblings and her
Right.
mom, every month. So that's how I fell into this space. I fell into this
Mm-hmm.
space, and from calling, the government to the health department to everywhere else, I basically said, you know what, I need to do something. And at that moment, that's when I created the Feminine Hygiene Bank in my office through donations and just asking people.
Amazing. And you guys, Lynette donates over 38,000 feminine hygiene products per week to
A
her
week.
community. Yes, per
Yes.
week. Yes.
Per week. And we like to
Wait.
say that because it's amazing that people throw out period poverty like it's just a term that's just so beautiful to throw out. And I
Mhm.
don't really know any other organization that's dealing with period poverty. I think they're fighting menstrual equity and they're dealing
Mhm.
with menstrual equity, but definitely
Right.
like period poverty, because those little brown bags with 2 tampons and 5 pads, I don't mean no harm. That's not going to do anything for my population, but maybe help them get to the next place to steal from or get another sock. But I just had to put that
Right.
out there. Don't use
Yeah.
terminology the wrong way.
Absolutely. And menstrual equity, I think, is really focused on changing laws, changing policies, such I know that
Tampon
we issued
tax,
the
the pink tax.
tampon tax, exactly.
Yes,
Also trying to get insurances to cover
yes.
tampons and things like that. But ultimately it still doesn't, at this point, it still doesn't address the urgent need, which is that there are a lot of women, young girls out there who are living in poverty, who don't have access to feminine hygiene products. So what do we do about
Definitely.
that, right? Like, put
Yes,
them in their
yes.
hands. And in this country, unlike in other countries where these products are readily available, you see them in public bathrooms, people can buy them for like 2 cents, 5 cents, like very, very cheaply, or they're readily available in schools, in, all sorts of
Mm-hmm.
public places where you go to get services. Here, that's just not the
Mm-hmm.
case, right?
It's not the
So,
case because unfortunately we live in a patriarchal society that basically deems feminine hygiene products or menstrual products as a luxury. They're not a
uh-huh,
necessity. And I think
right.
that's where the debacle starts with really
Mm-hmm.
creating more patterns of behaviors to keep persons who menstruate at a lower level of achievement. But yeah, I'm gonna say it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And because like many, necessities in our society that are governed in this sphere of capitalism, which means it's very much profit driven, you
Hmm.
see the prices of these products. I mean, like
They're
every year, I feel
ridiculous.
like that it's rising
Ridiculous.
so rapidly, for a box of tampons,
And
$10,
who can afford
$12,
it?
somewhere upwards of twenty
Who can
dollars
afford it?
for 50 to 75 tampons, which will get you what,
Definitely.
maybe 2 to 3 cycles, depending on your flow. So
Definitely.
it is a real issue. So thank you so much for the work that you do.
Thank you.
So a little bit of background. So we should back up and talk about why is this a justice issue, right? Like why? Because I know some people might argue like, oh, all women bleed, and like the whole all, lives matter.
It's so
That whole
funny
slogan.
because I'm glad
So
you
let's
asked that
just talk
because
about why this is a justice issue for Black women. Like, what about this is specific and unique to our experience being Black women in this country that makes it so imperative as a justice
because
issue?
overall, when you really think about discriminative practices and injustices, as I hate to say, with when they say the Black woman is the what most unprotected,
Yep,
unvalued,
Malcolm
person
X
in
said it.
America. Malcolm
Mm-hmm.
X. And it's so true to this day because we're basically the population that people kind of overlook. And when you talk about period poverty, poverty as a whole is not addressed in our communities. We
Right.
have the highest number of health disparities, even when we're talking about infant mortality and different things like that, just because of the zip code that they live in. They're
Mm-hmm.
already, exposed to all of these other things. So with I don't know why my screen kept going black. But when I talked about period poverty, the reason I started with menstrual with period and not respected dot. That's for all menstruators, everybody who bleeds. But I was intentional on July 1st started Black Girls Bleed because the menstrual brands are so racist, and they're even more racist to a Black led and Black owned operated organization servicing Black bodies because
Mm-hmm.
they would not give me donations. They would not uplift Black voices and Black experiences. And I kind of was
Mm-hmm.
kind of teetering before saying I'm gonna do Black Girls Bleed. But like I said, somebody in my community basically was like, Miss Lynette, listen, black girls not rocking, black girls not running, black girls aren't matching, and black girls bleed. And why are you the only one out here doing this? And why aren't you getting the support? So that's why I started Black Girls Bleed. And I would tell people, because people were like, well, I think I did a post, about, if somebody says save the whales, I'm not saying F all the other fish in the ocean. I'm just saying the immediacy is that black girls are dealing with this. And black women as a whole, I got to put this out, the historical value have been used and abused from what? Reproductive, gynecological care since slavery. And it has actually transcended into today. You have bodies that you just basically act like don't matter.
Preach.
In this space, and all of a sudden you just want to keep talking about period poverty. You're period poverty pimping and monetizing off of the experiences of our people, but not given to my community. You're given to these other organizations that have money, brands, sponsorship, but the funding goes to them, and then ultimately me as an organization got to go through them to get it to my community, and I'm tired of it. I'm just not going to be quiet about it anymore, because again, I give out more product than any other organization in the nation. I give a 3 to 5 month supply to every menstruator. So that means I can go into a household with 5 people and I'm giving out 5 bags, 5. So I can spend over $1,000 at one household. So that's why Black Girls Bleed. I'm tired of the discriminatory practices. I'm tired of the racism. And it's just funny. I'm sorry, I'm just going to rant. I did a primer about period poverty a month ago. And a white organization we did a primer. I have to put this out there because I was kind of upset this morning because I had a med student following us this summer. And I'm going to say her name was Taylor Streety, and she's been working with me. So she helped me do some of the primers and gathering some of our information. So during Black Girls Bleed, she was like, Lynette, because I had this idea to create the stages of period poverty, what period poverty was versus what menstrual equity was versus people not being connected at all. So she kind of put it out there. She reached out to this organization and was like, hey, because she was reaching out to people, can you share this? Can you post what a period poverty is? They ignored it. But all of a sudden this week, she texts me and was like, hey, how is it that they did a period poverty primer when I inboxed them? And now they're talking like they did it. And now they have all these followers. I am being unapologetic about calling people out. I'm tired of people using our information, our experiences, and our blues and just trying to take our rhythm. That was uncalled for. The information we put out is because I'm out there 365 days. Oh, and then they blocked me from commenting and blocked some other Black people from their what they were saying. The reason we did the primer is because I'm doing this every day. I'm out there in the streets every day. I'm out there in the communities every day. So when I talk to people, the information I get, because there's no research out there, I'm gathering it to give to my community. So don't steal my stuff without giving reference, because that's not cool. The work that we do is intentional, and also it's my passion and my ministry. I do this because I care. I'm not making money off of it. So the reason I'm saying Black Girls Bleed is because of experiences like this. This has been happening to me over and over again. I don't want to get upset. For years, large menstrual brands and movements has been stealing everything No More Secrets does. And I don't say anything about it. But at the end of the day, give it back to my community.
Yeah, it's
give them references
very hurtful
to us. Have people at least, share the information so that we will get enough followers to donate to my community. That's all I'm asking.
Right.
Because the racism is rampant.
Right.
Brands basically telling us what we won't do and what we will not do for our community. But then you got pictures of us all on your page like you're actually supporting us, and you're not. So that's the work that I do. I'm a real person. Like I said, you're not going to get the glitz and glamour, because this is what I do. And I can talk about it, and I can bring menstruators on here. That's why I amplify Black voices, because I'm in their communities.
Right.
With the shooting, with the pandemics, with the heat and whatever, because I care about it, and I'm not monetizing off of their suffering. I want the laws to change.
Yeah, and this is actually part of a larger problem that kind of started with Black Lives Matter, that a lot of these brands, you realize, for the first time that, wow, like these, people of color actually have voices. They actually have money to spend. They're actually very intentional about how they spend their money. And so, yes, now it's time to start, targeting them in terms of advertising and kind of uplifting those voices. And there has been, I think, an issue, a larger issue with some of these brands co-opting a lot of the ideas, kind of co-opting, you know, trying to make immediate changes after kind of Black Lives Matter, really for the sole purpose of profit, right? Not for the
Yes, for
true,
marketing and profit. Yes,
right? Not for the true goal of trying to uplift these communities, empower the people who are doing work on the ground. So yeah, I mean, that is a huge issue, and many of us kind of see right through that, right? But I think we all have to be more
definitely.
intentional about how we spend our money to show who we support, who we don't support, so that way, you know, people will see that, you know, especially
Definitely.
when it comes to big business, the only thing that it seems to really talk is money.
Yes, it
Absolutely.
does, unfortunately.
Yes. So to kind of backtrack a little bit to talk about, you know, what are some of the relics of slavery, because I think this is super important, and why, you know, reproductive justice is even so important to speak about even to this day, because reproductive justice has always been a thing ever since, you know, Black women have become empowered in their voice. You know, have people, you know, like Sojourner Truth, and, you know, people like Mary Church Terrell, and, you know, these women who
Yes,
existed in the 18th, 19th century, who were out there kind of speaking in a very specific voice about Black feminist issues and reproductive issues that affect Black women, and how that same tradition continues today, right? Because as long as injustice exists, we're going to have issues. We're going to have reproductive justice
definitely.
kind
We
of
are.
being
We
the
are.
focus. So
Hmm.
in terms of like some of these relics that you see and that you've heard, for me in the office, you know, in terms of that stigma, I know that there's, you know, some of the internalized relics of racism that exist in terms of how young women feel about their bodies, how they perceive their bodies, which are all kind of coming from these external messages around how Black women should behave, what they should do to seek value, and how in many ways their bodies need to be used in order to, you know, obtain respect. Also the notions of, you know, Black women being hypersexual, which are often not true, particularly among young, you know,
Definitely.
Black women, how young
Yes,
Black women and Black men are perceived to be older than they actually are, and are expected to behave much differently, which in many cases is just simply they're, you know, in the normal realm, normal spectrum of
definitely. Normal
adolescent
sexual
development.
development. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So just kind of speaking about like some of those relics, I mean, and there's tons in terms of like the systemic
Definitely.
issues, which we
Well,
talked about, and also the issues with not just physician bias, which is something I specifically am passionate about, but also in terms
yeah,
of just interpersonal bias when you're interacting with systems, right? And whether it be
definitely.
educational systems or systems with, you know, social service systems. Can
Social
you speak to that a
service.
little bit? Just your
Well,
experience with some of
definitely.
these women on the ground?
I think my experience is basically similar to your experiences.
Mm-hmm.
As with No More Secrets being a sexuality awareness organization, we're
Mm-hmm.
intentional about integrating conversations around sexuality with humanity as a whole, because we feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's basically neglected. So
Mm-hmm.
with our young people, this ideology of Black bodies being more sexualized or more, you know, sexually oriented in anything that they do. You know, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
our young girls are getting their menses as early as the age of 8, and
Mm-hmm.
then the messaging that comes along with it is that they're all of a sudden this woman, or all of a sudden that they can't do the things that they used to do as a child, or they can't behave in that in these ways. And one of the things that our young Black girls are always diminished is spaces to be able to use and articulate their voices.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you start giving this message that you're older, then all of a sudden I can't seek assistance, because now it's something with me if I don't if I'm seeking assistance, because I'm not acting how I should. Another thing is that
Mm-hmm.
if we don't intersect conversations around autonomy and bodily autonomy. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm a young person who lives in poverty. My whole life is involved in systems. All
Mm-hmm.
my life, I'm telling everybody everything about me. I'm going to the social worker. I'm going to the housing person. I'm going to the welfare worker. I'm doing all this. So
Mm-hmm.
now this concept of privacy, I don't understand. So
Mm-hmm.
because of this, bodily autonomy is out the window. I don't have anything that I think is private. So all of a sudden, I'm sharing everything about me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a deficit in our community, because privacy is key and bodily autonomy is key. But
Mm-hmm.
then when you layer it with period poverty or menstrual equity, okay, the thing that I need most to protect my body and to keep it safe, you're refusing to give to me. You're
Mm-hmm.
discriminating me based on what? My gender, my race, and my socioeconomic status.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're the people who I'm supposed to seek for help, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now the doctors, the physicians, the teachers, the educator, all the people I'm supposed to go to for help, because you negated this part of me, they'll tell me, Miss Lynette, I'm not asking them for anything. I'm not going to the doctor for anything. I'm not going to this person for anything. So now I'm growing up as this person with same reproductive system. I'm now getting ready to have a baby. I'm now impregnated. So this
Mm-hmm.
body that you negated and neglected all my life, now you think I'm gonna run to the gynecologist who to me has neglected me all of my life. So
Mm-hmm.
now that's how infant mortality and all these other health disparities, even when we're talking about STIs, being
Mm-hmm.
able to get detected, because you've negated the basic part of me coming into what? This
Mm-hmm.
reproductive realm, which is my menses, and you're
Mm-hmm.
not teaching me, you're not educating me, you're not protecting me. Now we've created this deficit and this gap. And
Right.
also, I hate to keep saying this, gynecology, reproductive justice,
Say
and
it.
reproductive health is built off of suffering of Black bodies. You don't
Mm-hmm.
associate pain with Black bodies. When we say we're
Right.
bleeding too much, or we're having horrible cramps, or we're in
Or
pain,
we're
for some
having
reason you
pelvic
think
pain. Mm-hmm.
pelvic pain, you think Black people just, I don't mean no harm, but we don't feel pain the same way. But
No,
again, that's the
you don't have to.
history. That's
You
the
can say
history.
it.
And the
This
studies,
is a medical fact backed up by medical research. It's
it
in the medical
is.
literature.
And that's
It
how,
has been
like you
for
said,
decades. You're not saying anything that
but
hasn't been
that's how the
backed up by
specular was. That's
science.
how the specular, that's how what? Dr. Sims back in the day used Black
Yes.
slaves to basically do fistula surgery on them
Mm-hmm.
and do all these things without any anesthesia. And then he opened the clinic off of these studies with white women,
In
white bodies,
Europe,
and used
after he had
anesthesia
perfected the procedure.
after he had
Yeah.
perfected it. Come on
Yeah.
now. It's a whole
Absolutely.
lot. It's a whole lot. And
Absolutely. It
and it
is a lot.
bothers me in 2020. I keep getting
Mm-hmm.
in 2020, you're not giving my babies pads and tampons for real. They
Mm-hmm.
can't get pads and tampons.
Yeah.
And then when me as a Black body are asking for them, it's an issue. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot going on. But I'm just gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, you just got it. So what inspires you to keep going? I mean, obviously you're super passionate about this. I think for those of us who do the work in communities with people of color, I mean, in terms of for myself, working with the communities of color every single day, helping them with medical conditions, helping them, navigate systems. It becomes sometimes overwhelming, where you
It
feel like,
is.
when you're working with people on the individual level, as opposed to many of these other organizations that are working on more systemic levels or more, organizational levels, where they're not
Organizational.
directly connected to the people in the communities that they're serving. So they don't directly feel that pain that people feel, that trauma that
For the
people that have
messages.
experienced,
Yes.
they don't, indirectly experience what it is poverty really means to people, how people live. And that affects us, right? Like, because we're
It
human too. So
does.
you do
It
internalize
does.
a bit of that in
I
your work.
do. I
So
do.
how do you keep going? How do you keep the strength to keep going, to stay positive, to stay vocal, to stay active?
I think a lot of it is prayer. I hate to say
Uh-huh.
it. I'm a very spiritual person.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I feel like this was my assignment, that God gave me this assignment, because I can tell you honestly, Doc, I struggled with it. When it first came to me, I was like, okay, I'm going to create this bank and I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
help people out. And then that's when my community was like, Miss Lynette, that's cute, but we can't get to it. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what? I created the cute little bank. And they're like, no. So that's how the delivery service came and it grew. And I think what inspires me, I'm sorry, this crazy thing. What inspires me is the voices of my community, the experiences of my community. Can I say
Mm-hmm.
how much they encourage me when I'm having a bad day, or and they'll text me about, oh my gosh, I was glad I was able to finish school today, or I was glad to go get groceries today, or,
Mm-hmm.
this, or thank you for what you do. I think that's what it's about.
Yeah.
I don't care about the glitz and glamour. I could care less about a newspaper, or that's not where we're at. As you know, we don't have a PR team. We don't have a marketing team. It's just
Mm-hmm.
us. And that I think what every day when I go out, it's funny, my daughter, every time we're in a crazy mood and we're tired, every time we go to somebody's house and we get back in the car, it's like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
wow, now we see what we do. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think most people have ever seen deep poverty in their life.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
reason I say that is from some of the remarks that have come up when some of the newspaper articles and stuff, and they're like, well, just get up and just do this. Most of my population live in a household with about 8 to 10 other people,
Mm-hmm.
no running water,
Mm-hmm.
no electricity,
Mm-hmm.
no gas,
Mm-hmm.
living on the floor,
Mm-hmm.
laying on the floor,
Mm-hmm.
cohabitating, just trying to survive.
Mm-hmm.
They can't have a cup because they can't clean it. And they don't know if they're going to be in the same place next week, tomorrow, and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. So sometimes messages come from a position of privilege.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see our people laying on the floor doing whatever, and they invite me in
Mm-hmm.
to their homes without any question about, is she going to judge me? Because the way we present stuff to everybody in our community is that it's not a handout. This is what you need to survive.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you need to live.
Mm-hmm.
And that, to me, is blatant discrimination to not give it to somebody to be able to just be able to go get their food, be
Mm-hmm.
able to just get up and live their lives and be able to reach their full potential. We also have a whole large group of community of immigrant and refugee persons from different lands, and these are other
Mm-hmm.
bodies of color
Mm-hmm.
who are not even educated about a lot of
Mm-hmm.
feminine products. So we go and we educate, we teach people. We just want them because they're like, they just use rags, pieces
Mm-hmm.
off of quilts and blankets, and people use socks and whatever they can. So when you're giving these things, because we'll get referrals from social workers or other people who will say they need them, and they're just so humble. They cry, they hug us because during the pandemic, when my daughter and I were out, we had scarves wrapped around our mouths,
Mm-hmm.
given out because they couldn't get in line to get the food. They couldn't go out to get the resources. Public transportation had stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So I always like to tell people I do this work because it's a need and no one else. Like if I stop tomorrow, I have no one else to call.
Mm-hmm.
If I give up, they're going to be left without. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that I do it because it's my mission and also because it's my passion and in my ministry and because I think they need it.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Wow.
definitely, um, it is depleting of me. It is
Mm-hmm.
tiresome. I cry a lot. I get
Mm-hmm.
overwhelmed a lot because I feel like women aren't talking about this issue enough. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think Black women are talking about this issue enough. I don't think women in power and positions are talking about this issues enough. And I don't mean to be facetious when I say F the tampon tax. That's not my
Mm-hmm.
platform because if you
Right.
stop taxing it, it should be something that's included
You
in
still have to
Medicaid,
pay for it,
Medicare.
and it's still
You still have to
expensive.
pay for it, and it's still
Yeah.
expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where it comes from. I'm a humble, like I keep telling people. And when people talk to me, and from the first time we talked to interacted,
Mm-hmm.
any inbox message, anything, I reach out. I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
star. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
somebody who sits on a platform. I'm trying to educate because I want more people to do this work
Right.
and be able to save because we're saving lives. Because if people are taking birth control pills nonstop, selling their body and stealing, then at the end of the day, they're setting themselves up to be what, killed, um, imprisoned, or basically
Absolutely.
destroy their body. So this is the work
Absolutely.
that we're doing.
Absolutely. That's so beautiful what you just said. My goodness.
I
And
messed up my
bless
little
you for
makeup trying to
doing
look cute out here.
for doing this amazing work. So, one last question about stigma, because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
this is something, that kind of goes more deep and internal to our communities as a whole. Like, why
Mm-hmm.
is it that, when I was growing up, my mom, she's from the deep South, she's from Mobile, Alabama. She would always tell me, keep your legs closed and your dress down. And
Just
that was it.
down.
I'm like, okay. I mean, when you're like 9 years old and you hear that, what are you supposed to make of that? Like, what? I feel like most of my coming of age really, in terms of that education, and I'm a physician, really took place
I
outside of the
know
home, took
it
place in
does.
school from friends. Thank God my high school had a school nurse who was this absolutely amazing, caring woman who, embraced us all of us young, menstruating, sexually active young people who didn't have a clue. She would bring us all into the fold and say it's going to be okay, and provided us with the education and care that we needed. But for
Mm-hmm.
many young people, they don't have that adult in
They
their lives.
don't.
They don't have those resources in their lives. So I'm not, my mom unfortunately had an untimely death, so we weren't really able to kind of speak, from for me as an adult, but you get to a certain point, you can start to ask your parents questions like, why did you do that, or
Why did you do
why
that?
do you believe that specific thing that you believed and that you imparted to me. But sometimes I often ask that question, like, where does that stigma come from? Like, why is there such a dark cloud around
sexuality related topics in the Black community,
and development and sexuality?
I think it's twofold. I think one fold is many of the Black persons and their experiences are related to religion, spirituality.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They take on this concept of, we're not supposed to talk about it, especially we talk about the menses, you're dirty, you're, untouchable, all these different things. And also, so they kind of correlate all of that with, let's diminish sexuality as a whole, diminish you as a sexual being until you're married. You're supposed to be this on off switch. So basically, we're not going to talk about it and you just don't do it. Okay, that's nice in theory, but at the end of the day, it's really diminishing this whole crucial conversation that should take place. Also, I think overall in Black communities, I don't know if it goes back to the rape and the assault of Black bodies and basically saying, well, we don't talk about it, we won't sexualize them as much, or we won't have these conversations. That could be another part. And also, I think we're not educated about it. I think. Oh, somebody says, please text your question.
Okay. Oh, that was me.
Okay. Oh, so I think that I've talked to parents who say, I don't know. I don't know what to tell them. No one ever taught me. So generationally, it's like, okay, well, we don't talk about it. We'll just say the shaming things. Sexuality in Black communities is always shameful and reactive. We're not proactive. We don't talk about pleasure. We don't talk about positivity. It's like everything is negated, so we don't have to talk about it. So I think it's all these different layers that happen. And the bottom line is, because of this trickling effect, it's just diminishing, the conversation and the education. It's a deficit now even more because people are at an age of instantaneous access with, social media, with, being able to get on apps and all these different things. And the problem is our youth would just be looking at stuff and they don't get the whole message because it's didactic based on what they think they're looking for. But because we haven't given them a conceptualization of the whole picture, they're still uninformed. So they're going with information with their friends. So I think it's important to have these conversations. One of the things that No More Secrets does is that we start with age 5 in kindergarten, having these conversations. And the first part is around kids have superpowers too, giving them the power of their voice, understanding their superpowers and their super suits. And that's basically because I hate good touch, bad touch, because a bad touch can feel really good. And now I'm confused. So we really taught that bodily autonomy from age 5 and up. And even with teenagers, we talk about social media safety. We talk about navigating consent with both sexes so that both genders can be able to understand and have those conversations. But also, we really empower the menses in our people. We talk about this period or not. A menses is a normal, natural part of life. We teach people how to embrace is what each phase level terms, but really talking about at this phase, this is what's happening. At this phase, this is what's happening. This is what's happening when you're having menstrual cramps. This is what's happening with that. And that's why Black Girls Bleed was so intentional. For me to go into our Black community and have Black women of all ages name 3 things about their period, something that's been shunned for what? Generations? For what? Ages? You don't know how important that was to get them to just say 3 words. And they were like, they felt so empowered, like, oh my gosh, I have ownership of this thing that's been stigmatized for so long. And I think that's why the Black Girls Bleed other part, as you're talking about, was really decreasing the stigma and amplifying Black voices and experiences. And asking these brands to put it on their pages. But I ain't going to talk about y'all right now, because y'all basically ain't trying to do it. But I think that's so powerful because it starts the articulation of really conversations around menstrual cycles. So then I can start saying, well, you know what? This is a normal menses, and now this doesn't seem normal. This is abnormal. How can you talk about Black women having the higher rates of what fibroids, menarche, endometriosis, when you've never taught them what a normal period is or what a normal cycle is? You haven't created a space for us to navigate these conversations. Would you say, Naya? And for mortality, so because of this, that's why we're so intentional about having these conversations. Even if they didn't happen before, we're going to start having them now. And now that I got Doc with me, oh, y'all in trouble. You're in trouble. You're in trouble. Because we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. And the reason it's so important that we talk about it is because we are Black women.
And we've experienced the exact same thing. It doesn't matter what your station in life
Yes,
is now. We've
it
all come from the same
doesn't.
place. We've
It's
all come of
so,
age in America.
yeah,
We know what it feels like to be
yeah.
menstruating women. And so it's time to start
And
to
be
break down the
silenced,
stigma.
to be
Yeah,
told
and to
that,
be,
well, you're not
yes.
bleeding that much. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that much. It doesn't.
Yep.
I'm like, well, wait a minute. I
Yep.
got a girlfriend who's not the same hue as me. She told me to just go and tell you, and you didn't give me the same messages you gave her. You was like, oh, we're going to do this, or we're going to do this with me. It was like, oh no, it can't be that heavy. So
Yeah,
it's
that's a
really
whole, we're going
important to
to
have
have a
these
whole nother talk
conversations.
on that in terms of
Yes,
the physician and institutional bias that exists against Black women being ignored and
yes,
undervalued in healthcare systems and being just
definitely.
pretty much disregarded, which is a huge problem.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
Yes, my dear Lynette. So please tell our viewers how they can find you, how they can support your amazing work, how they can
Okay,
amplify Black Girls Bleed. We're going to be, of course, doing more work with Lynette in the future. But in the meantime,
definitely.
what can we do to support you?
One thing that you can support me is to advocate, educate, and donate. That's how I say it.
Okay.
Advocate. Please advocate on behalf of No More Secrets, Mind, Body, Spirit Incorporated. Our
Mm-hmm.
email, I mean, our website is no more secrets mbs.org. You
Mm-hmm.
can go in there, find out everything about us. Advocate. I need you to advocate the menstrual brands. I
Mm-hmm.
need you to tell those menstrual brands that they need to donate to us, give us
Okay.
supplies and resources, also uplift our efforts on their platforms. We have one brand who refused to, and I'm gonna say it again. I don't care. Lola. Okay, I said it. And then we're going to
Lynette.
ask people to donate. Donate. You can go on
Okay.
our link tree. We have a link tree. You can donate products, you can donate monetary, and also it's a little uh thing on our platform. We have our Venmo and stuff. You got to kind of go through, and it's also pinned at the top. You can do that.
Okay.
Educate people about what's going on. Please educate your politicians, your legislators. There is
Mm-hmm.
not a clear period poverty bill out there. There needs to be a No More Secrets period poverty bill. I'm sure somebody's going to steal that too, so I might as well say it out loud. So maybe they'll have me testify at the hearing because
I
they're
don't
going to
know.
take that too. Like they
Maybe
did.
one of our collabos can be to write Kamala Harris.
We
You know, she
can. We got to
just
write it. We
co-authored a
have
bill
to
about
because
fibroids, you know, supporting
at the
Black
basic
research in fibroids.
foundation, could you at least include it in Medicaid, Medicare benefits
I
into
mean, absolutely.
our low income schools to get free lunches and stuff? At the minimum, can we start there and build on top of it?
Or even
And
the
I think that's
EBT, that the people be allowed, that it's
yes,
kind of
we
excluded from the
definitely do.
EBT.
Yes,
Yeah, people can get it
but
for, or it's
overall,
like
like
really
it,
deeply discounted or something.
definitely. But really share our movement, what we're doing. Again, we give out
Mhm.
up to 38,000 products a week by ourselves. We give more products than any other organization in the nation. We give a 3 to 5 month supply. And the reason I start saying 3 to 5 is because my daughter has a very heavy menstrual cycle. She'll probably
Mhm.
talk to you about that, Doc. She has a very, so she was packing bags based on her cycle. And
Uh-huh.
one day, my intern was like, that's not normal. So really, people don't come to us for 6 months because that's how much stuff she gives. Because she gives about 100 and something pads or 100 and something um, tampons, like almost 200, like literally with
Mhm.
liners and wash and soap and all. And we get a lot of feminine wipes or diaper wipes because again, a lot of people don't have ongoing running water. They have to go to the Wawa or whatever to take showers.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's the work we do. Please just amplify our voices, share our work, and support the work that we're doing in the community. Amplify Black voices. And we have stories about our deliveries and our people in our community. Please share it. Tell other
Yeah.
people about what we're doing. Because we're real. I keep saying this. We're real, authentic Black people, Black organization, Black voices in our community. No performative activism. We're not all made up and you got the screen behind us. You get to see, hair made messed up, bags going to people. And people will show that bag and talk on our page
Mhm.
because we are real. And we went on the street the other day where I want to say the community entrepreneurs were all standing on the corner of a bulletproof vest because something was about to go down. And we go into these by ourselves with Mickey ears on in the worst neighborhoods in the community. And we do it because we know God sent us there. And if something
Mhm.
happens to us, it was his will. But we're going to go there because grandmama's on that block and she's been living on that block and she raising her grandbabies and nobody else is coming to that block. to
Mm-hmm.
give her anything. And grandma can't walk no more. So we're going to go on that block. Bulletproof vest on the corner, but we're going to be there because that's what we do. So that's what you need to start sharing.
Amen.
Because we're
How
real people.
beautiful. Yes, boo. We're
I'm
gonna do what
sorry. I
we
wasn't supposed
can
to be
to.
emotional today.
Those are tears. This no, please let them flow because you know what? I mean, we carry so much pain. We all carry the pain of of our ancestors. We carry the pain, the trauma, the generational trauma. We carry the pain in the community, the ongoing traumas that exist in our community, inequities, disparities, that exist in our community. So let them flow.
I know. It's been
Yes.
an overwhelming week, so
But now you're at the
it's been a
beach.
lot going on. With black bodies in general. You just think
Yes.
you get to one hump and then something else happens and then something. So it's just really, just trying to
Yes.
do what we can.
Yes.
That's it.
Lynette, you're amazing. Thank you so much. We are definitely going to be in touch in the near future because we have to
Thank
collaborate. We have to get
you.
the word out. I know that you've had a lot of issues with some of the menstrual brands, but let me tell you something. Even if they decide not to support, it's okay because you know what? There are millions of other outlets out there that will. And we just have to find the right people that are going to be willing to uplift the platform. So
Definitely.
definitely gonna
And
get you there.
I am going to, so follow my page because is it tomorrow, Naya? We're going to post it. Yeah, a brand that did a beautiful donation and
Okay.
something else. So I'm going to highlight them tomorrow on my page because they gave us like
Amazing.
6 or 7 pallets of products. So I'm definitely going to highlight the work that they do because one thing
Nice.
is that we're only a small organization. It's only really me and my daughter with, we have a board, but really volunteers. So I really need my community to be my advocates. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to pack bags and deliver. I don't really need that. I don't. I don't. I have a couple people. I really need you to be my voice to really
Mm-hmm.
tell these other people what needs to be done for our community. Because if you give it to us, it's going directly to our community. And also we
Mm-hmm.
ship nationwide. I forgot about that. So we
Yes.
deliver in the tri-state area personally, and we also ship nationwide to people living at home in poverty or economic. So we ship all around too. So when you give us cash donations, we just go on Amazon and ship it that way. So thanks for having
Amazing.
us.
And you're a 501c3 organization, so
Yes, we
the
are. So it's
donations
a
are
tax.
tax
Yes, it
exempt.
is.
Okay.
Yes.
Amazing. So, folks, if
Thank
you're looking for an
you.
organization to give to, if you're wondering who can I give to that's actually doing work on the ground, helping people directly, this is it. So you should definitely support Lynette and her organization. Lynette, you're amazing. Thank you so much
Thank
for everything that you
you.
do. God bless you. And we will be in touch. Thank you, everybody. Oh, you know what? I didn't
All
even look
right.
at the
Thank you.
questions.
Oh, any questions? Because I
I
couldn't,
don't think there
I don't
were
know.
any questions.
I know somebody said make it shareable. That's all I saw and then
Yeah,
something
so
else,
I'll
but that's
definitely
it.
make it
Okay.
shareable. You guys follow Lynette at no_more secrets 495
No, wait a minute, 469. Wait a minute, no
469.
underscore.
No
It's in here. No underscore more secrets 469.
Yes, okay. On
Thank you
Instagram.
guys.
Okay, bye. Thank you,
Bye
Lynette. Bye
bye.
bye.
Bye bye.